Hi, welcome to Training Talk. My name is John Cullen, and I'm your host for the weekly series here at the Institute of Police Technology and Management, as we offer you a look inside of different training tips, case studies, and some of the excellent classes we offer as we strive to train the next generation of law enforcement. At this time, I'm going to send you over to our subject matter expert who's going to share this week's weekly tip.
Hey guys, my name's Erin Morris, and I'm here to provide you with a few tips and tricks when it comes to evidence packaging. So we all know there's a ton of different options for packaging, whether it's paper, plastic, some sort of metal container, or other sort of tube or petri dish. They come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and various purposes and preferences can be decided upon when you are looking at all the items of evidence you're collecting. So for example, one of the most common things you're going to be dealing with, and usually tends to be the cheapest, is your breathable type packaging. Now, it could be tiny manila envelopes up to some of the larger sizes. There's some that even come with padding. So for some of those document protections and things of that nature, we have larger boxes, whether it's for handguns, knife boxes, rifle boxes, you name it. But for the most common part, you're usually going to be dealing with your paper bags. Those also come in various sizes. There's little tiny ones all the way up to those big lawn and leaf size bags. Some of the agencies call it Texas bags because it's just about the size of Texas. But have a bunch of variety on hand because you never know what you're going to need. Now also, you're going to have some stuff that could deal with inner packaging. Sometimes that may be a small syringe tube. These also come in adjustable sizes or larger variations for your big knives, like you're running into those Rambo type guys, right? So you want to make sure that your vehicles are equipped with all sorts and types. Now, I beat that to a dead horse. Now let's get into some of our tips and tricks here. One of the things I've noticed that's come out, Lynn Peavy, not to ad drop here, but they have come out with a roll and seal bag, which I think is actually pretty interesting. Because on some occasions you get out, you've got a larger piece of evidence, you put it into the bag, and you're trying to transport it without contaminating, and it just doesn't stay shut no matter how many times you try to crease the edge. So you either have to tape it on scene or just deal with it. They've come up with this kind of handy little metal closure that when you squeeze it, it stays shut. So something to consider when you're looking for evidence bags to purchase. You also usually have the options of printed bags versus non-printed bags. So to figure out what your agency prefers and make sure that you're purchasing well. When it comes to plastic packaging, same thing, right? You have your plain, clear plastic bags. Then there's also plastic bags that can come with a white area that allows for easier writing and descriptions of your evidence. They also have pre-printed bags and some that will self-seal. So find what you got, what you can buy, and what your agency prefers with your budgets. Now, when it comes to packaging, if it has anything to do with DNA or you think it may go to biology, it must be in a package that can breathe. Again, we're going back to your paper products. So manila envelopes, paper bags, cardboard boxes. If it can let air pass through, you're golden. Now, you have to be cautious. If you're collecting something that is wet, it must be dried before you put it in that packaging. If you've ever had a towel, maybe you took a shower and you threw it in a corner and forgot to hang it up, or maybe your kid's done it, we all are familiar with that nasty, musty smell that comes with that towel sitting over time. The same thing can occur with your wet or bloodied items, except if it's bloody, guess what? It's not just getting moldy and musty. It's getting moldy and musty, and probably some decomposition is starting to occur. And that degradation can ruin your chance to get a good DNA profile. So you have to package smart. Make sure those items are dried before you shove it into something else. So moving along with our bag packaging, I want to show you a few things. So when we are talking about sealing our bags, there's a few things you want to consider. So most of our agency's policies are going to require us to fully seal the bag. So what does that actually look like? Most of us are going to just fold down the flap and then come back behind it with some form of tape. Now, find out what your agency requires of you. Some will allow you to use something like a shipping or packaging tape. However, it almost always has to be followed up with some sort of frangible integrity tape. A lot of agencies will call this a token seal. So if you are required to do that, or if you're permitted to do that, you're just going to get some shipping tape there. Tape your edges down. Most of us, if the bag will close, can wrap that tape around the edge. It does not have to come all the way across the backside to be successfully sealed. The tape here has secured this flap shut. Then, once I've got my main tape down, I can come back with the token integrity seal and flap that over my tape. I'm not getting into this seal without this piece of tape breaking in this fashion. Now, some agencies require the integrity tape to be used, and you cannot use the shipping tape. And in that case, you're going to do the same thing that we did with the shipping tape, but with the integrity tape or the frangible tape. So when you do that, just make sure it's large enough to go all the way around the edge of the seal, as well as the sides of the bag, okay? And then that'll do it. And then we're gonna claim our tape. Initials, dates, put it on both sides of the seal so we know it is yours and you did it and when you did it. Another thing you may or may not want to consider is sealing the bottom of your bags. I don't always trust the adhesive on these, so for me, making sure that the bottom's not going to fall out is pretty important. So I'll put down a piece of integrity tape or packaging tape and a token seal if it's a larger bag to ensure that that's also secured. Now, say you've got a large item of evidence, maybe a thicker backpack or something like that. When we go to seal that item, it may not be nice and flat and easy like that smaller bag is. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal the bag pretty well all the way across, just like the smaller one. I'm going to make sure this is nice and flat. Now, again, say I've got a large item where this is basically busting at the seams. I cannot wrap this piece of tape all the way around here successfully. Now what you can do is fold the tape under that back front flap of the bag on both sides. Voila, sealed and dealed, right? So I now have a secured bag of evidence that's not going anywhere and is properly sealed. Okay, so next thing, we know maybe we gotta collect like a pillow, or maybe that's a little bit larger of a backpack, and there's no way that I'm getting the top edges of that large bag to touch. There's something that's a form of double bagging that you can kind of do that is almost like kind of linking your bags together. All right, so pardon the noise here. Say we've got our first bag of evidence, and I can't get it to shut. It's fully expanded. I'm going to take a bag of the same size. Now, if you want, save yourself a little bit of time and you can write your description and case information prior to doing this. If not, it's not a big deal. It'll just, maybe have some squish behind it. But we're basically going to open that secondary bag, and then it is going to go over the first bag. There we go. So if there is a lot of overhang from the edge of that bottom bag, then you can tape it all the way around up high. If it's just a little bit, slide that down and then seal it at the bottom. And you'll do that all the way around the edge to properly seal your bag. Now, say you've got something like a yard tool or a shovel, and you're just you don't have butcher paper or something available where you've got a long roll and you can wrap it in it's like a Christmas present. What you can do is basically take these bags, and you're gonna have the same type of concept, but you're gonna take one of the edges and cut the bottom out, and then you're going to continually link the paper bags until you've run the length of that item. If you need to go and get a larger size, like say you started out and you're linking smaller bags for the handle of a shovel, and then you get to the end and you've got the head of the shovel there, you can use a bigger bag and then just fold that edge in and seal it and wrap it around, right? So just some tips there. Now, if we are dealing with something, say it's like trace evidence or narcotics or something you're worried about losing in your packaging, Many times you might have to scrape some paint on a vehicle for a hit and run fatality or something of that nature, or you're collecting hairs or powders for narcotics. There is something called a pharmaceutical fold that you can use in order to help keep that very finite material enclosed in your packaging. So what you're gonna do is get a clean sheet of paper, and I don't know if you guys remember this from your old school days in elementary, but there's a hot dog and a hamburger type of fold. We are gonna use some folds in the hot dog and hamburger way. So first, what you wanna do is do a tri-fold here in the hot dog version. Okay. And then we're gonna do it hamburger style, tri-fold, like you're gonna mail a letter. Then you should have 9 pretty rectangular spaces on your piece of paper. If you hold it like this, it should kind of give you a little bit of a bowl. What you're aiming for on your collection is to get those hairs, those paint chips, whatever it is, towards the center of your pharmaceutical fold. Once that is collected, you're gonna fold it up. So first I'm going to go back hot dog style. You may, if you have to, if you've got some of that evidence kind of stuck on the sides, you might gotta like shake it and tap it till it gets toward the center of your paper, but you're gonna hot dog fold it first. And your evidence should be hanging out in that center rectangle. You are then going to use your hamburger folds to come back towards the center of your paper. The next thing you're gonna do is kind of take one side and sort of poof it out so it looks like a tube. Then I'm gonna take the other side and I'm going to tuck it into that little tube that I've made. Voila, pretty little trace evidence packaging. Now, all you have to do with this is seal it up and around, write down on it the description and the item that you've collected, and then drop this baby either into a manila envelope, a paper bag, or whatever, so it's got some larger outer packaging, and ship it off to your trace section for your local laboratory. Now, if you're an overachiever like me, I like to give it an extra fold because I don't trust little tiny things like that. Or if you're having trouble tucking the corner, you can fold a corner to help tuck the edge. So I've got a little tuck there. I've made a new little pouch, and then I'm going to put it in. Right? So same concept, just looks a little different, right? So that will help you with your small items. Anyways, I hope that helps. Good luck out there.
Thanks for watching this week's Training Talk Tip. We hope that you found this beneficial as you move forward in your investigations. Please be sure to comment if there's any future Training Talk tips that we could bring to you or areas of interest. And while doing so, we'd like you to follow us on all of our social media channels so that you can stay in tune with the latest training. While doing so, also check us out at IPTM.org, where we have a large catalog of courses that are offered throughout the country. And if there's not one nearby, perhaps reach out to us and we could bring the training to you. Again, we hope that you follow along, found this useful, and we look forward to seeing you next week.